So, good morning to everyone. So, we have started the concept wattmeters, second chapter, wattmeters and power factor meters. So, we are at a discussion of electrodynamometer type wattmeters. In yesterday's class, we have seen introduction, definition, working principle, and first classification. In yesterday's class, we have seen that is general working principle of wattmeter, that is UPF wattmeter. Okay. So before going into the today's class we are going to discuss low power factor wattmeters. So with respect to the previous class discussion, I am about to share a animation of general working of electrodynamometer type wattmeter. So that after listening to this animation of working principle, it will be clear. Most of you will get clear about the working principle. Many people asked the doubts. That's why I'm sharing this animation.
Be able
So I'm sharing this animation. So electrodynamometer type wattmeter. So this is a working animation which we are going to discuss now. So this is the construction. So this is a brief construction. So in this animation we can clearly see how the electrodynamometer type working, how the electrodynamometer type wattmeter works, and we will see the individual parts cross section, the deception of individual parts. This is analyzed in the form of an line diagram. So in this particular line diagram, we can clearly see each and every parts working with respect to the line currents, with respect to the load current, and with respect to the functioning of the resistor which is connected to the moving coil and all. So this is nothing but exact line diagram and a complete cross section of electrodynamometer type wattmeter. So why I am saying the complete cross section means, so here in this explanation, we are going to see how the individual parts work, how the fixed coils work, how the moving coil is going to work, how the current is flowing in the fixed coil, how the voltage is flowing through the moving coil, how the needle oscillates a particular dimension, what is the behavior of a load current. So this is I got this cross section, this animation from YouTube. I'm just sharing this for your better knowledge. So even after explaining this, if you have any doubts, many people asked a few queries in WhatsApp yesterday, DM to my WhatsApp. That's why I'm showcasing this line diagram, cross-sectional diagram of electrodynamometer type wattmeter. So let us see one by one. So if we see the construction, so this is nothing but where we have applied the supply voltage. Just observe very carefully. This is where we have applied the supply voltage. Supply voltage is observed here, and most of you are very familiar. In a constructional point of view, electrodynamometer wattmeter will have fixed coil and then moving coil. Two fixed coils and one moving coil. See, this is the fixed coil, this is one fixed coil, and this is one fixed coil. Okay, the fixed coils doesn't move at all. They are fixed on a series line. So they are connected in series to the line. See, this is nothing but a line. The line, this is nothing but supply line. Fixed coils are connected in series to the line. See, the line is going in this manner, and fixed coils are connected in series to the line. Okay, and this is nothing but our moving coil. Moving coil is connected in between two fixed coils and parallel to the supply voltage. Okay, resistance is connected next to the moving coil. Okay, and with respect to the load, at the end of the time we can see the load. Okay, supply voltage is given to the fixed coils, supply voltage is given to the moving coil, and supply current is given to the fixed coils. So this is about the construction. Okay, and pointer, pointer is connected to the moving coil. Okay, pivoted. See, it is pivoted to the moving coil with the help of a jewel bearing. The red portion is nothing but a jewel bearing, and we fixed the jewel bearing to this. Okay, and this is nothing but our scale, calibrated scale. Okay, measuring scale. So if you observe the working principle, so these are fixed coils, these two are fixed coils, and Fixed coils are connected in series to the line. Most of you are familiar. In series to the line, and they are connected in series to the load. Okay, the main purpose of fixed coil is to carry current. The fixed coil will carry current in series to the line. Then this is nothing but the moving coil. Moving coil. This is made up of a flip wire. Okay, the flip wire, a copper wire, a thin copper wire is connected in the form of a flip. As we winded the auto transformer windings, we will wind up the coil winding on a flip. With respect to the coil, is flipped on this particular moving coil. With a particular number of turns. Moving coil is coil winding is placed here, and this is nothing but the resistance which is connected next to the supply voltage, and this it is nothing but moving coil is also called as, most of you are very familiar, moving coil is also called as pressure coil or voltage coil. Moving coil is nothing but the voltage coil. It is also called as pressure coil, and it is also known as potential coil. So these are different literatures. There are different literatures, and this is nothing but a resistance. The main purpose of this is nothing but high resistance which is connected in series to the moving coil. The main purpose of this resistance is to limit the current, flowing in the moving coil. Current flowing in the moving coil. Actual working limit the current in the moving coil. That's why it is a high resistive material. High resistance material is connected, and the shaft a connecting, so there is used to be spindle connected next to the moving coil, and we have, with respect to the connected spindle, we have connected the needle here. See, in this manner we are connecting the needle. So this is nothing but a moving coil. With respect to the moving coil, these are the moving coil. The circular thing is a moving coil. With respect to the circular moving coil, we have connected the spindle, and the controlling torque is achieved with the help of spring control. See, this is one spring at the top, and this is one spring at the bottom. Controlling torque is achieved with the help of springs. With respect to the spindle which is connected to the moving coil, we have pivoted the needle on the spring. Okay, see, this is how the needle will work. So if we see the working principle, the needle is connected with respect to the moving coil. It is pivoted with the help of a jewel bearing. So this is how the needle works. This is how the needle works. The needle will start from initial position to the moving position. Initial position to the moving position in this manner. Initial position to the moving position in this manner. Okay. So it will move up to in instant of 50 degrees to 90 degrees. The instant working principle is around, working deviation is around 50 degrees to 90 degrees of the needle. So whenever the supply voltage is given, and the supply is going from in a line. See, this is the dotted line indicates the moving of the supply current. Supply current is flowing through the fixed coil, and it is moving like this, and it will move to the load. That means certain amount of line current is flowing through the fixed coil. So line current is flowing through the fixed coil, and certain amount of voltage is also flowing through with respect to the moving coil. The supply voltage is flowing through the moving coil, and that moving coil is also the current which is the voltage flowing in the moving coil also produces certain amount of current. That current which is produced in the moving coil, because of the continuous flow of voltage, what will happen if there is a conductor? Let us say the moving coil is having a copper conductor. Continuously this moving coil is linked with respect to the supply voltage. What will happen? There used to be certain amount of current will induce in the moving coil. That current is limited with respect to this high this with respect to this resistor. Okay, so this is what will happen. Okay, see, so the dotted lines, the current is flowing in the fixed coil, the voltage is flowing with respect to the moving coil. Okay, and in this condition the flux will start linking. So this is the behavior of flux will start. The outer periphery coils is nothing but fixed coils. See, u-shaped coil. So this is a u-shaped coil, this is a fixed coil, and this is a fixed coil. In between two fixed coils we are having a moving coil. Okay, so whenever the line current continuously flowing to the fixed coil, that will create a magnetic flux. Okay, whenever the voltage is continuously flowing through the fixed coil, that will create a magnetic flux. These two flux, in the presence of these two fluxes, there is a continuous linking of these two fluxes, what will happen? That magnetic field is the magnetic field produced by the fixed coil is proportional to the load current. We have already discussed this. And the magnetic field produced by the moving coil is proportional to the voltage. So from this instant, voltage is directly proportional to current. Okay, the voltage flowing in the fixed coil, sorry, voltage flowing in the moving coil is directly proportional to the voltage flowing in the moving coil is directly proportional to the current flowing in the fixed coil. So this what happens, there is a flux created by the fixed coil, there is a flux created by the moving coil. So due to this interaction between two flux, see, this is the flux created by the fixed coil and this is the flux created by the moving coil. So due to this continuous interaction between two magnetic fluxes, that creates a force. That force is nothing but deflection torque in the moving coil. That force creates a deflection torque in the moving coil. And see here, there is a continuous interaction between the flux in between, continuous interaction between two fluxes, fixed coil flux and moving coil flux, fixed coil flux and moving coil flux, that makes the moving coil to deflect and the needle rotates, and the needle is rotated. Okay, and that how the needle is rotated. Due to continuous linking of fixed coil flux and moving coil flux, there is to be a deflection in the moving coil, and to the moving, this is nothing but our moving coil. The moving coil is connected next to this vertical conductor. This vertical conductor is called as spindle. That spindle is pivoted next to the needle. This is nothing but a needle. So moving coil is rotating, the spindle is rotating, and the needle is also rotating. The needle is also rotating. The needle is deflecting on a particular measuring scale. Okay, so the deflection which is created, the deflection created on the particular measuring scale is directly proportional to the power supplied with respect to the load. The power supplied with respect to the load. Power supplied with respect to the load. I hope this is clear. I hope the many people asked this doubt. That's why I shared the animation. First, we are going to see the difference between LPF wattmeter and UPF wattmeter. What is the difference between an LPF wattmeter and an UPF wattmeter? So, if we observe the difference between LPF wattmeter and UPF wattmeter, so in last class we have already discussed about the general thing, that is UPF wattmeter, general perspective of UPF wattmeter. If we see what is the purpose of LPF wattmeter? What is the purpose of LPF wattmeter and UPF wattmeter? UPF wattmeter is to measure power in a reactive circuit. Okay, whereas LPF wattmeter, it will measure the power in a highly inductive circuit. Okay, that is the difference. UPF wattmeter will measure the power in resistive circuit, whereas LPF wattmeter will use the power in an inductive circuit, highly inductive circuit. That is one of the important thing. Okay, and second most important thing is the UPF wattmeter, the LPF wattmeter instrument measures the low value of power factor accurately. Okay, that's why it is called as low power factor wattmeter. So that means at the very instant of low power factor, at the very instant of low power factor can also be measured with the help of the low power factor wattmeter. Okay, that means unity power factor will measure the reactance circuit, measure the power in reactive circuits, but LPF wattmeter will measure the power at a low power factor, at the low value of power factor, and that also and also with respect to in highly inductive circuits. So that is the difference between UPF and LPF wattmeter. So how can we define an LPF and UPF wattmeter? Means UPF wattmeter will measure highly resistive circuits power in highly resistive circuit, but as LPF wattmeter will measure low value of power factors even in a highly inductive circuits. Highly inductive circuits. So it is used for an power factor range up to 0.5 to 1. 0.5 to 1. So it will range very minute. That means it can measure even very minute amount of power. Minute amount of power. That means this low power factor meter, which we are going to measure for highly inductive circuits. Highly inductive circuits. So what is the range we are going to measure? The range we are measuring is around 0.5 to 1. 0.5 to 1. So if we observe the exact difference, what is the need of this particular What is the need of this particular LPF wattmeter means? The need of this LPF wattmeter is simple. Here the magnitude of deflection torque is very less. Okay, because we are reading the low value of power factors, the magnitude of the deflection torque which you are going to see is very less, even after there is a full scale deflection of pressure coil and the current coil. Even there is a continuous full scale deflection in the pressure coil and current coil, the magnitude of the deflection torque is very less. Magnitude of deflection torque is very less, and the error occurred in this particular reading. The when there is a measurement of power, when there is an error with respect to the reading, that is due to pressure coil. Why means, in the existing wattmeter, if we read in the existing wattmeter, if we read there is certain amount of power, where certain amount of power at a low value, okay, the pressure coil doesn't sustain such low value of power. Okay, so in order to insufficient rating of the pressure coil, that creates an error. That means what we are doing in this particular LPF wattmeter, in LPF wattmeter we are measuring a low value of power factor, a low value of power factor at a range of 0.1 to 1, 0.5 to 1. So at this particular low rating, that this particular low rating of power, at this particular low rating of power, the pressure coil doesn't show its efficiency or efficacy, and that creates an error. The pressure coil will create an error. That means what we have to do, we have to change the certain requirements. So this is about the particular definition of low power factor meter. So if we see the need of low power factor meter, what is the need of low power factor meter means? Ordinary wattmeter which we are going to measure low power factor, which creates certain amount of inaccurate result. That means that creates a certain amount of error. That means if we use an UPF wattmeter, what is the purpose of UPF wattmeter? UPF wattmeter main purpose is to measure power at high resistance circuits. If we use that UPF wattmeter for measuring low power factors, that creates an error or inaccuracy in the results. Okay, why this is type of inaccuracy is happening? Why why the existing wattmeter or UPF wattmeter is not sufficient enough to read low power factor of an high inductive circuit means? Because of the magnitude of deflection torque. Okay, so we are, as we said, we are measuring the low power values. As we said, we are measuring the low, as we said, we are measuring the low power values. The low power values which we are going to measure, that creates the deflection torque even very small when compared to full scale deflection. That means in UPF wattmeters we are measuring a high power at a high resistance circuits, that creates a full scale deflection in the wattmeters. But in application of reading low power voltages, in application of reading low powers, that there is a deflection torque of the moving coil is very small. We can't reach up to the full scale deflection. That means the full scale excitation of pressure coil and current coil doesn't showcase the values of current coil and voltage coil. That means this deflection of a full scale deflection of a current coil and pressure coil at this low power values creates certain amount of errors. That means we need to modify the current coil and pressure coil ratings. We need to modify the current coil and pressure coil ratings. That's why we need to rate the current coil and voltage coil ratings. That's why we are going to changing the specifications here. So what is the main purpose of LPF wattmeter? The instrument which measures the low value of power accurately, that is called as LPF wattmeter. That means the low power factor meter which is measuring the low power factor, we are measuring the low values of power of an high inductive circuits at a particular range of 0.5 to 1. Okay, so the ordinary wattmeter will measure the ordinary wattmeter. What we are saying, the ordinary wattmeter will measure only a specific full scale deflection values, but at a high power. But our application is to measure low power values at a particular rating of only a small deflection. So the existing wattmeter need to be improved up to certain changes. So what are the changes means? What are the changes with respect to the existing wattmeter means? So these are the modifications we need to change, do with respect to the existing wattmeter. For an UPF wattmeter, we need to do these type of changes to read the low power values of an high inductive circuit, which is our application to the low power factor meter. So what is the modifications we need to change? We need to change the pressure coil currents. We need to change the compensation with respect to the pressure coil. Okay, we need to change the compensation of inductance with respect to the pressure coil, and we need to control a small amount of controlling torque. Controlling torque in UPF, in electrodynamometer type wattmeter, is achieved with the help of spring control. Spring control. We need to change the control torque also. That means there is to be an additional changes with respect to the springs in the existing UPF wattmeter. So if we achieve all these things, that means if we control the pressure coil current, and if we do some compensation in the pressure coil, and if we see there is a compensation with respect to additional inductance in the pressure coil, if we do all these things with respect to the existing wattmeter, or with respect to the existing UPF wattmeter, the LPF wattmeter will measure the low power values of an high inductive circuits at a particular range from 0.5 to 1. So this is one of the important modifications which we are going to do. So first modification what we are going to see is that is pressure coil currents. Okay, so how the pressure coil current can be modified? How the pressure coil current can be modified means, the pressure coil current can be modified by adding a low value of resistance. Okay, by adding a low value of resistance. If you add a low value of resistance here, the pressure coil is designed to having a low value of resistance, so that high value of current will pass through it. So the current produces the deflection torque in the moving coil. That means the resistance of the pressure coil. So this is nothing but the resistance of the pressure coil. This resistance of the pressure coil has to be of low value. So previously in the last discussion of our working animation also, we said the pressure coil is, it should be of high rating in UPF wattmeter. Okay, in UPF wattmeter. But in LPF wattmeter, what we are saying, we have to limit the resistance of the pressure coil, or we have to limit the resistance of the moving coil up to a low value, such that high amount of current will flow through the existing, high amount of current will flow through the pressure coil, high amount of current will flow through the moving coil, and there used to be a deflection, and there used to be a deflection. There used to be a deflection. So that is what we're going to, that's what we analyzed the things. That means if we change, so if we change the resistance of the moving coil, if we change the resistance of a moving coil, initially the resistance of the moving coil, this resistance of the moving coil is having very high value. So if we change that resistance of moving coil from a high value to the low value, what will happen? What will happen? The current flowing capability, the current flowing capability of the moving coil will be improved, and that creates, or that enhances the deflection torque. That enhances the deflection torque. So this is the one of the important modification. First important modification, that is improving the behavior of pressure coil current. How can we improve the behavior of pressure coil current? Means by reducing the rating of resistance which is present in the moving coil. By improving the rating of this particular moving resistance present in the moving coil, what will happen? The current flowing through that moving coil will be high, and that creates a chance of additional deflection torque. The current that high current will create a deflection torque with respect to the moving coil. So second most important modification, that is compensation with respect to the pressure coil. So how can we there are two types of mechanisms we can see here while compensating the pressure coil. So this is one important, or this is one compensation, and this is additional compensation. This is one compensation mechanism. So in this compensation mechanism of pressure coil, what we have did means, in this compensation, what we have did means, the pressure coil is connected in parallel to the supply voltage, and current coil is connected in series to the supply voltage. Okay, so the magnitude of voltage applied across the pressure coil is equal to the magnitude of supply voltage. Okay, so if the magnitude of the pressure coil voltage is proportional to the magnitude of supply voltage. Okay, the total power measured by the pressure coil is equal to the sum of the losses which are flowing to the sum of the losses of current which is flowing to the current coil. So this is one of the compensation mechanism. That means the current flowing through the pressure coil should be equal to the current flowing through the voltage. We have to maintain up to a certain instant such that the loss coefficients of the current coil will be eliminated. So this is one of the important modification. So coming to the second modification, that is, coming to the second modification, that is, in the second modification, what we can do means, in the second modification, we can connect this pressure coil. In this modification, we can connect this pressure coil, not here. The circuit is quite wrong. If we connect this pressure coil next to the current coil, next to the current coil, the pressure coil is not connected with respect to the load. The present coil is connected next to the supply volt. The pressure coil is connected next to the current coil. Okay, what will happen at this instant if we connect the pressure coil next to this particular current coil? What will happen? The output obtained in the circuit is equal to the sum of load power loss and the power loss of the pressure coil. That means the loss of the pressure coil will be equal to the loss of the current coil. At that instant, the output power of the circuit will obtain equal. Output power of the circuit will obtain equal. So these are the two types of compensations. The two types of compensations which we observed here. So first thing is, in the first compensation mechanism, what we have done in the first compensation mechanism, we have seen the current flowing in the pressure coil, sorry, voltage flowing in the pressure coil is equal to the supply voltage. This is the first compensation. We can reduce the loss coefficient. And the second thing is, the pressure coil is connected next to the current coil. So this is one of the important compensation mechanisms. So there is an additional compensation mechanism with respect to the pressure coil. Okay, so how there is an additional compensation? The main purpose of this type of compensation is for low power circuits. The low power circuits, when there is a current is at higher magnitude. So when there is a current at higher magnitude and the application is of low power circuits, what we can do means, what we can do means what we can do means at this instant what we can do means, the power of the entire circuit is at low. The power of entire circuit is at low condition, but the current flowing through the current coil is very very high. So what does the wattmeter do? The wattmeter will carry the high current, and that creates certain amount of error. Okay, the wattmeter will carry the high current and that creates certain amount of error. In order to eliminate this error, I am connecting an additional compensating coil. See, then an additional compensating coil is connected in the circuit. This compensating coil connected next to the current coil. See, there is a dotted compensating coil I am connecting here. The dotted compensating coil, the dotted compensating coil the dotted compensating coil which is connected next to the current coil will reduce the current flowing in the current coil, and that eliminates the error, because of the low power factor. That means our application is at low power factor. Okay, but the current is high. The current is high. In order to eliminate this high currents which causes certain amount of error, I am connecting a compensating coil. So this is an additional type of compensating. So this is called as compensating of power loss in a power circuit. Compensating of power loss through an additional coil mechanism. So this is one type of mechanism. So that means here what is happening, we are connecting the compensating coil and the pressure coil is in compensating coil and pressure coil almost are series with respect to the coil coordinates. That means if we see the current coil, so if we see the current coil and if we observe if we see the pressure coil and if we observe the compensating coil and pressure coil is almost series to each other. Okay, so this means the pressure coil will carry the current of I suffix p. The pressure coil will carry the current of I suffix p. Okay, and the field which is induced by the compensating coil will carry the current of I suffix p plus I. Okay, so the field of the compensating coil and current coil, so that means the field created by the compensating coil and the field created by the current coil will oppose each other. Okay, and that amount of error is eliminated. So previously we regulated the amount of current, now we are regulating the amount of power. Sorry, now we are regulating the amount of field which is created by the compensating coil. So additionally, what we can do is if we connect a capacitor here, okay, so the capacitor will charge the current when there is capacitor will charge the currents when high currents are flowing, and capacitor will discharge when there is a low amount of current flowing. So this is about this is called as compensating coil mechanism. Compensating coil mechanism. Compensating coil mechanism. In compensating coil mechanism, we can limit the amount of current flowing, and additionally what we can do, we can also limit the behavior of behavior of existing fields. That means there is a field, magnetic field created by the current coil, magnetic field created by the pressure coil. If we connect the compensating coil, there is a field also created by the compensating coil. Compensating coil, this compensating coil will deviate the main field, will compensating coil will deviate the main field. In order to eliminate that, we have exercised an additional current to eliminate the chance of creating an additional field in the compensating coil, additional field in the compensating coil. Okay, so that is about second mechanism. First mechanism is to reduce the current, reduce second current, reduce the behavior of current in the pressure coil, and second mechanism is compensating coil mechanism. And this is the third mechanism where the compensation with respect to inductance of pressure coil. Okay, so small amount of inductances are present in the pressure coil of wattmeter. So this inductance which is present in the pressure coil will create an error. So what is the behavior of error means? The behavior of error with respect to the pressure coil, that is Va sin phi with respect to tan beta, where phi is nothing but angle with respect to the pressure coil and current coil, where the power factor phi is represented with respect to the power factor. So when the power factor is large, and the error is will also be very very high. So in order to eliminate that, we are again using the same concept of compensating coil, but additionally we are using a capacitor here. So if we connect the capacitor with respect to the existing resistance, what will happen? The compensation will created with respect to the capacitor. Capacitor will charge and it will discharge within an instant of time. There used to be a variation in the frequency, and that creates a particular accuracy. That means the compensation, the capacitor which is connected in parallel to the pressure coil will act like will compensate certain amount of current. It will charge within an instant of time, and later it will discharge. Along with the compensating coil, the capacitor is used to eliminate the error. Okay, the compensating coil created by the capacitor is slightly affected with respect to change in frequency, but this is negligible. Around about 10 kilohertz, the compensation is done. Around about 10 hertz, the compensation is done, which is quite accurate for an existing wattmeter. So last important thing is about creating the controlling torque, small controlling torque. Okay, how this controlling torque is? So this is the nothing but a provision of mechanical torque. So small controlling torque at low power factor wattmeter is very very small. So a full scale deflection is obtained up to a small value of a power factor. The full scale deflection which we are talking about, the full scale deflection is observed at a small value of power factor. So this is up to the today's discussion. So in today's class, what we discussed is we have seen the definition of low power factor meter. We have seen the usage of low power factor meter, and we have seen various modifications. What are the various modifications? Pressure coil current modification, compensation of pressure coil, and compensation of inductances in the pressure coil, and compensating of small controlling torque. How the pressure coil current is controlled? Pressure coil current is controlled by adding a low value of resistance. That means the resistance value is eliminated here. And how the pressure coil is compensated? Pressure coil is compensated with respect to the applied voltage. Applied voltage is same with respect to the pressure coil voltage. At that time we compensated the thing. And second thing is the pressure coil is connected next to the current coil. We eliminated the load error. And next we compensated the current flowing in the current coil with the help of a compensating coil, and next we discussed about the behavior of inductances, and the inductances with respect to the pressure coil is eliminated with respect to an addition of additional capacitor with respect to the current coil. Okay, and lastly we discussed about the behavior of controlling torque. So in today's class we have discussed the difference between UPF wattmeter and LPF wattmeter, how we are going to design an UPF wattmeter, right? So if you have any doubts, just post a doubt in the chat box.